Welcome everyone to SEO Office Hours. My name is Mikael Chidzey. I'm an SEO here at Good Signals, and part of what we do along with special guests are these office hours sessions where people can jump in and ask their questions around their website and web search. By the way, nobody here is in the hot seat and we might not know all the answers, but multiple heads thinking about a problem should help. We have a bunch of questions submitted already, as you can see, but if there's anybody here live on the call that would like to ask any questions, please just flag yourself in the chat functionality, which will be monitored. Also, we tend to have SEOs on the call. Feel free to share your perspectives. I think that's one of the best things about office hours. It's not just feedback from the guests, but it's also from people who are live on the call and sharing information in the chat. Every week with me today is Juliana Turnbull, also known as SEO Joe Blogs. Morning, Joe. How's it going?
Hello. Hi, everyone. Yeah, good. Good to see you here, Mike. And thank you, Sara and Mikael, as a special guest for joining us. I'm Juliana Turnbull, and I'm calling in from Barcelona, Spain. I run a digital remote consultancy business called Turn Global, and we help clients with their marketing and also those who want to expand their audience into different markets. I also run two search events, Search London and Search Barcelona. And actually, we have our next in-person event here in Barcelona in 1 week's time, May 10th. And we still have some sponsorship opportunities available. I'm really pleased to say that we have Sara and Mikael joining us today. Sara is the SEO lead to SEO Team Lead at BlueGlass, which is an agency based in Switzerland. They specialize in the DACH market. If you were in the DACH market and would like to improve your strategy, you can speak to Sara. She is also one of the founders of SEOnerdSwitzerland and SEO Community, and she's an active member of Women in Tech SEO. She's also been a mentor there. And outside of being a mentor at these Women in Tech SEO, she's spoken at a few events, including International Search Summit in Barcelona, and she'll be speaking as well at SMX London in October. I will share the LinkedIn URL with Sarah's in the chat. And also very pleased to have on the show today, Mikael. Mikael's actually dialing in from Brazil, so thank you very much for getting up so early to join us on the show today. He has been working in SEO for over 8 years and is a remote freelancer specializing in SEO and content. He has worked with marketplaces as well as news portals, working in SaaS, and he also has experience in agencies and working in in-house teams. And actually last year, was an internship with Aleda and also Jamie Indigo. He is a member of the FCDC, which has opened many doors to himself and many doors to SEOs. And I'd like to say thank you very much to Jasola for putting me in contact with Mikael today. And I will share his LinkedIn URL there. And please let us know where you are all dialing in from today. A big welcome to Sharif, John, Chris. We have Layla, Veronica, Max, Raquel, Maria, and Mohammed. So just to have a little right where you're dialing in from today, I think we're having quite an international SEO office hours today. So I'll pass back over to you, Mike.
Great. Mikael, well, tell us about what's an internship like, an SEO internship. What sort of things have you had to do with people like Aleda and so on?
At FCDC, we can receive some mentorships with great professionals around the world. For example, I received mentorship from Jamie Indigo for more than 2 months with weekly calls where we discussed a lot technical SEO. The same with Aleda for a period more short, but the focus with Aleda was to spread SEO around the world. So I learned how to pitch in events, meetups, podcasts, etc., to avoid my fear of be present in people, how to talk better, etc. So I learned a lot with both of them, and that's it. It worked. I'm here today.
You're here now. Perfect. I wanted to ask you about that because I think Aleda is probably one of the most mentioned people on SEO office hours or referred to. So I just thought I'd ask. Let's go for it. So the first question, this came in this morning. Who's the best freelance SEO copywriter? And I mentioned this to you guys just before we started that this question had come out. And I said that if you don't want to give names, instead, you might want to answer the question, how do you find a good SEO copywriter? Who would like to kick off? Sarah, how do you feel about
Oh,
starting?
yeah, let's start.
Go for it.
Yeah, so we discussed a bit that before, but like for me, it's something very personal. So in the reality, what you can do, or what I would do if I were you, it's like more, for example, I'm part of the Women in Tech SEO community, which is a community that I respect a lot. And there are several channels, several Slack channels. Many people have Slack. So what I would do, I would like post there. I would ask for a feedback or somebody that is interested in the job. Then I specifically asking probably will be somebody enough to be specialized also on something more local. And then I would ask for reference, because if you don't know the person, then you want the reference. If you know the person, you go directly. There is no discussion if you trust somebody, but there is this trust factor then still need to be built. So I would ask for reference of example of previous job.
Great. And Mikael, what about yourself? Is there anybody that you can recommend, or do you have certain ways of looking for SEO copywriters?
You can find excellent SEO copywriters at FCDC community. We have a lot of people outside US and Europe that work a lot with it. I have my preferences. I really like the Chima's work. I really like her posts. She's very creative in how to implement her content. And in Brazil, I really enjoy the work of ID Chaves that works very well with finance, crypto marketing. We have a lot of good people in different niches. It's so hard to nominate someone. But for me, you can find these people in SEO communities. If these people is posting on social media, expressing its opinions, and as Sara said, check for references and decide the best for your project.
Great. And Joe, do you have anything to add?
I have another community, actually. It's called the Digital Marketing Union. Yes. And I've been sharing the other links, Women in Tech SEO, the FTDC, and now the DMU. Yeah. So it's really, I want to say is anyone looking for copywriters or looking for support, please check out these links. And if you are in contact with these people, please do keep them updated. So first of all, state a budget. Don't ask them to give you the budget. And then don't ghost them. So if you keep them in the loop. So if you're working on finalizing something, let them know, but don't have them chase you because you were the one looking for their help.
Sure. Great. If I'm honest, when we look for copywriters, we tend to look for, when we're looking for anybody doing any kind of web copy, we tend to look for really good copywriters, and we have a process. So actually the SEO part of it comes in the briefing part. So when we're creating a brief, there's some SEO input there. But like Mikael was saying, there's so many good writers for different niches and so on. We try and find some really good writers that are experts in that area to write a really good post. And then we tend to have an editor that will make sure that writer has followed the brief and hit those objectives and so on. So yeah, my goal usually when I'm working on any sort of copy is to just find some really good copywriters who know about that subject and just having a really solid brief. And that's where SEO comes in. So yeah, sorry, I don't have any particular names because we don't quite work like that. Anything in the chat, Joe?
No, not yet. Yeah, Mary saying best copyright, SEO copyright is Mary. Contact Mary.
Do you want to give us have we got a surname there?
Yeah, Mary Mutua.
Okay,
so,
cool. I was going to say, otherwise, if you're Googling sort of Mary.
So Mary, feel free to send me your details and I can put it in the chat.
Great. Okay, next question. So this is from a designer. How do I know that? It starts with, as a designer, my focus is on crafting experiences that resonate deeply with users, not just robots. Currently, I'm collaborating with a brand where search engine optimization is pivotal for doing new business or driving new business. With only a fundamental understanding of SEO, I'd like to inquire during this office hours call about the key considerations when working on both brand and the overarching web design. My aim is to create a seamless and captivating user journey without compromising website performance metrics. Sorry, I don't know if I was very clear there. So basically, a designer is working on a project where traffic and business comes mainly from SEO. And I guess what they're worried about is the changes that they're going to make. Could that impact the website? And what are some key considerations that they should keep in mind? Who would like to kick off? Joe, how about you? Oh, Sara, you put your hand up.
No, go with Joe,
Okay.
and then I will follow up because it smells of a website migration, this one, but let's go with Joe.
Go for it, Joe.
I would say in terms of if you only know a little bit about SEO, then what I would say is just perhaps look at some of the basics. So think about how the website is structured, like the navigation. Think about the pages. How many pages would you like to have? What is the objective of each page? Make sure you've actually got the page structured in the heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and so on tags with optimized images, as well as making sure that the page loads quickly, because sometimes with designers, we can make a really nice, pretty page, but it can take some time. So there's a lot of different checklists actually you can take, and actually learning.io from Aledo Solis is really good in showing you what to do when you're starting into SEO. So I'll share that in the chat, but what I would do is refer to that, and then also make sure that you plan it properly, because it can be a bit overwhelming SEO. What should I be doing? But really bring it back to basics and structure the page so it's easy to read, easy to navigate to. And you could also ask somebody that's not in SEO to have a look at your website and tell you how easy it is to access and how easy it is to read. It's always nice to have that fresh feedback. I'll find those links and send it in the chat.
Sara?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations for this question to the designer, because not all the designer will ask that. So great thing. So my intuition, maybe I'm wrong, is then we are going on refactoring the entire website and then on a website migration. So I would say there are several things to take into account. One is the analytics also, not just the design, like to know which pages are really important, how they are doing. And then there is knowing, like collaborating really with the SEO to know how to structure the website. Then the designer will probably do the buyer decision journey, but they can work with content and SEO for that. So then you have really a complete website and the type of query also. And then when you have the structure, because the designer will probably do the structure, and then they will do really the type of pages, no? And then there is exactly what Joe was saying. For example, the heading, they take into account the speed. If it is an e-commerce, you have to be anyway a bit fast. That probably you can work with an IT on that. They will know the core web vitals and everything. So they will probably work on that. So maybe to me, the thing that helped me the most, discussed with the designer, it was to think about accessibility. So often think about accessibility and then report that in the design. I don't know if that helps everybody, but to me, it was like a thing. Then I was like, okay, so if it works for accessibility, it will probably work the structure for SEO.
Great. Mikael, do you have anything to add?
Aside what was said, I advise you to make some friends. First, SEO product manager, because you need to know the process of product construction, agile methods, etc. Second, a CRO to help you to build some features that can improve the CTR, probably. Next one, content SEO. As Joe said, you need to know the structure of content page. Next one, Tech SEO, because you will create assets that needs to be managed. Images that can need to be compressed, some JavaScript features that need to be constructed. Try to talk with these people before you start your project to have a clear overview of the entire process and that from the outputs, because As Sarah said, we need to be careful, for example, core vitals. Normally, we tend to pay attention of it only when we start a page in production, after some weeks of running, and we can do it before the project. And it's a lot of value for you. Think in all these things before you start. This is my advice. Make some friends.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice about friends. Particularly if this website relies on SEO to generate new business. Like, it's great that obviously the designer is making friends because they've contacted us, which is good, and has submitted the question. But I would say if the website does rely on SEO, it's probably not worth the risk of just designing something and not bearing the things that have been mentioned in mind. So in an ideal situation, if there's budget, if it was me, I'd probably work with an SEO to get that information in terms of what pages are really important, a bit like Sara said, and finding out why they're important. There are tools like Google Search Console. I might be getting a little bit too specific now, but if you don't have the budget, there are tools like Google Search Console that will help you understand which pages on the website are most important and why they're important as well. So you can do things such as look for particular sections of the site or pages that get a lot of traffic, and then you can break that down and look at, okay, what keywords are driving traffic. So for example, if it's brand versus non-branded, you might want to protect those pages that get lots of non-branded traffic, in particular if they're commercial terms. But yeah, I agree with everybody really. It's I've seen and heard it so many times where people haven't taken SEO into account and launched something, and actually even just getting somebody to look over some of the changes that you're thinking about and to discuss why and why not they might be important. In an ideal world, if you're making things better for a user, then hopefully it would be fine. But actually, I've seen examples where that isn't the case, and it can just be just like I said, just getting somebody to look over before you launch and to crawl the sort of staging environment to just make sure that the content is accessible. Again, like Sara was saying, I think that's really it, really. I think it's just making sure that you understand the most important parts of the site, try and work out why they're ranking, and ensuring that you don't just remove everything from each page, because obviously it sounds like SEO is really important. Joe, do we have anything in the chat?
No, nothing in the chat yet.
Okay, cool. Does anybody
Maybe the
else have
next
anything to
question.
add, or should we next one?
Yeah, let's do the next
I'm
question.
flying through them today. Look at this.
We are. Let's not say it too soon.
Okay, it'll be good to hear from people in the chat on this one as well. Could you settle an argument for us? Is having multiple H1 tags on each page a problem for SEO? Who would like to kick off on this one? Joe, I can see you lean forward. Oh, Mikael.
No, Mikael?
For it. Yeah, go for it.
Yes, you can have problems. If you have a news website, this is an incredible problem for you, because the crawler cannot understand what's your main purpose of the page. If you check Google's the evaluator guidelines, you will see the importance of have clear H1s and page architecture, because the H1s clearly define the main purpose of the page. For example, for a news article, what is the purpose? Is to inform the people. And the H1 normally is the same, and it's clear that Google and other search engines try to read the H1 to identify some entities in news, for example, where they can understand the text and distribute it in a better way. For example, I have a news about the new batteries of Slipknot. So we have the bands, and we have the professional, and we have the name of this professional probably. And if you have a double H1, it can be very confusing for the crawler. So for me, for example, at least for news, I already provide consultancy services for a website with multiple H1s, and they decline it a lot on search because of this issue. When we remove it, grow up, right? It's more clear. News is more sensitive to this, probably a SaaS more or less, but news, yes, it's very important.
And Sarah, do you have anything to?
No, for me, it's very interesting the case that you were saying, because I worked on news maybe 3 years ago, and it was like an exception for me. It's not the rule. But I had other experience where it didn't really change the fact that you were removing the H1, just keeping one H1. But again, what Michael is saying, it completely makes sense, because in the reality, having one H1, when you have the H1, you understand what is the logic of the page. So that clearly can help in the understanding the machine. So for me, it's clearly you're going more in that direction of helping the understanding. I have the feeling, but maybe I am wrong, but I'm having the feeling that Google, it's quite good now in understanding what is the main content of the page. But again, if you can help that, better, no? And again, we go back to accessibility. Why would you have multiple H1 when you can have just one and help in accessibility and help the understanding of the machine? I personally didn't have the experience that Michael had, but the logic would bring me to just have one H1. So I know that sometimes it's also a problem of design, and then they want to do them bigger, and or the way then is code. But again, the logic brings me to say, why would you do that? I repeat, I didn't have the experience with 2H1, then like they were dropping, and then when you were improving that, they were growing. But again, it was not on news, so it's not the same thing. And I really think that the logic is to have one.
Oh,
Joe?
thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just keep it simple. Like when you're writing, going back to when you're writing, you'd only have one title. And it helps really especially when you're doing copywriting briefs. Actually, we just had John, thank you for sharing something in the chat just about, about the different elements, about the different heading elements. So everyone can read that as well. So yeah, we should have basically headings H1 until H6. And everyone should just have one main heading.
Yeah, I guess it's not the end of the world, but it's one of those things that, like Sarah was saying, I'm not sure why you'd have so many. I'm seeing it a lot more now on HTML5 websites, but I think it's one of those that it's probably more important to make sure your headings are clear about what's actually in the headings. But yeah, I've seen it more and more in the last few years, and I don't. Obviously, what John shared is really helpful, so we'll put that in the description. Cool. Anything else in the chat, Joe?
Nothing else in the chat yet. We're a bit quiet in the chat. Maybe this next question we'll get a bit more questions.
Everybody's not sure. Maybe. Okay, next one. Okay. I'm concerned that since the Google update, we have seen a significant ranking drop. I am purely going off AWR for our key money terms. That's advanced web ranking. Our Google Analytics is cooked, and I just don't have the capacity to fix it. Can you recommend how to diagnose the issue in Google Search Console? Okay, Joe, you put your thumbs up. Does that mean you'd like to go first?
Yeah, I want to say that Google Search Console is great. It's completely, it can be completely underestimated, but really I would suggest to go into Google Search Console, pick the data ranges, and then you can see how the performance has changed. You may need to make sure that you click rankings as well, and you can see the impressions, the clicks, and if you want CTR too. So that really does help. You can then click on the keywords and you can see which keywords have been affected. And you can also click on the pages and see where you've seen that drop. And from there, that's really your start point that can help you really to analyze when you've seen any ranking drops. If you've seen it around certain core updates that Google has announced, then obviously it could be that reason. And if you want to find out, okay, was there a Google update? There's tools such as SEMrush, SC Ranking. They will show you how the performance of that page or site has been, and you don't need Google Analytics. You can just put a site in and it will tell you. So use Google Search Console, and then if you want to have a broader picture, use a SEO software tracking platform. That's it. Over to
Mikael,
you guys.
got anything to add?
Yes, you can use all signals that you can find at Google Search Console, but I really advise you to add Bing Webmaster Tools
Ooh.
as a complement of Google Search Console. Why? Because a drop cannot be a problem on Google, but at your website. And Bing Webmaster Tools has a complement of tools of Google Search Console. Try to use both and compare the data series, right? The graphics. If you have a drop on both, it probably is a technical signal, a strong technical signal. If not, if only at Google, you need to revise the Google guidelines to find the cause of these drops, manual actions, or any issue with your website. We can see also where is the drop? Is only on search or at Discover too? Google Discover has some technical requirements related with images, some tags, and try to identify it, okay?
Great. Sara, do you have anything to add to that?
First of all, I love the comparison that Mikael is doing. Michael, sorry. I spend too much time with German people. So I'm saying Mikael. Okay. So I love the fact that he's comparing us with Bing too. So then you can really see, okay, it was really impacted because of this. Yes. My understanding is that they have a set of keywords that they are tracking. Probably is like they can use those keywords directly in the Search Console, as Joe said. So you go there, you go in performance, select your keyword, and then you can directly see, like in the filter, directly see, okay, the important keyword were impacted, yes or no, like the ones that bring you the conversion were impacted, yes or no, because if it has something like you lost visibility, but on something that is really not important for you, then it's not bringing you business, then it's bringing you nothing. I don't know. I don't feel it's such a big deal. Like maybe other SEO would feel it. For me, it's like more, it's important for my business, yes or no.
Yes, and if I can add something, you can try to segment your Google Search Console. For example, if you have /news, /categories, /blog in different properties to track it better, right? So you can see what dropped more, what your website section dropped more, to try to identify the keywords that dropped, etc. It's more easy. Or create a dash locker studio to be more easy to see the clear picture of each section.
Great advice. I think I really like the fact that you said about checking outside of Google, so Bing, to see, is it a Google problem, and therefore is it the core update, or is it across other search engines as well, which, like you said, would suggest some sort of technical issue or something else has happened. Yeah, so that's great. I think the thing is, the person said here that they're looking at advanced web ranking, and I guess that's the one data source at the moment that they're looking at. And sometimes with ranking tools, the reason I like to look at Search Console as well is that these ranking tools only provide you information about the keywords that you input in the first place, whereas something like Google Search Console provides you a larger context and other terms that you rank for. So I think it's good to try and look outside, and it's a really easy tool to use, Google Search Console. You've just got to, within about 10-15 minutes, if you've not used it before, you just click performance, and then it'll be really easy to find whether it's a specific page, it's a section of the site, or it's across the entire website. So yeah, I would definitely look there. And sometimes things happen. So for instance, it might be a technical issue, and it's easy to blame it on something like a core update because it just happens to be at a similar time. So it's really important to work out at the beginning, is it because of the core update? If it is, so if we're imagining that this person has found that it's just on Google, that they've seen a drop for a particular section of the website, let's say it's some key pages for some of their sort of non-branded terms, what would you suggest they do next? They found that this might be a problem. And any thoughts on next steps?
I would say I like what you have mentioned, Mikael, about having Bing Webmaster Tools that actually check that to see how the performance is. If you have been affected by a core update, I would actually look and see perhaps what that was. For example, I have been working with some sites and they were affected by it. It was because they may not have had so much EEAT, experience, expertise, authority, and trust. In that case, we would recommend to improve. That's through having bios of the staff, people that write the articles. You have that. I think NerdWallet does it really well. You have to really assess what has been affected and why. I would also suggest reaching out to other people in the community and see what industries have been affected, if yours is one of them, and see what they've done to resolve it. People are very open to discuss that. There's a lot of studies that people have written and been talking about, including Lily Ray, about some of the sites that have been affected. First of all, I find out what other industry has been affected, what have they done to improve that, and then analyze your site. Was it because of EAT or was it because of something else? And actually, I just also wanted to say that there's a couple of comments in the chat too, just about the other question. Muneni was talking about with the Google Search Console, to use that to compare different date ranges to see like when the issue started. So you can actually have a comparison. You can go back to 16 months with Google Search Console, so it's really good. John was actually saying that if you're looking at third-party SEO tools, the data is not always complete and might be badly sampled. Yeah, do look at Google Search Console and see have you been affected around any sort of updates. And also, if you also check your Google Analytics as well, see where your traffic is coming from. If you have been affected by Google updates, maybe you actually have most of your traffic coming from organic. It's really important to actually have to have your traffic coming from different channels, not just relying on one sole traffic source.
Great. I get. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and back to you.
I was just going to say that also, if you have seen a drop and it does correlate with the core update and there is a particular sectional page, I'd also have a look and see what is now ranking instead, what's doing well, and try and work out why that's doing well. What is it that they're offering that you're not? And yeah, just go into sort of investigation mode. It's probably likely that it's more than one page. And if that's the case, it might be a good time to look at your entire sort of strategy and your website and what you're doing. Mikael, what about you or Sara? If once you find out that, okay, this section of the site has been impacted or the entire website, what would you suggest? What would be the next steps?
Should I go or would you like to go?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, okay. So in the reality, I think that most of the things you already say, what I would do is exactly, first of all, understand if it is the entire site, it's like the industry, maybe there is something in the industry that is not working, and then I have to question my site and myself probably, which is something that I know as an SEO, I understand pretty well, then you don't like to do that. And then try to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong? Like why this happened? And the first thing is to check, okay, I normally check the competition. Okay, if some of my competition went better and I lost like my power, then I have to question myself. It's a problem connected to the way that I am presenting my website. Is a problem connected to my brand, the way that I'm presenting my website. It's really just a session of the website. And if it is just a session of the website, okay, as you say, which other session went well? And there you can easily see, okay, this went well, why? And then compare also to the competition. So it's a lot of spending time in analyzing for me and trying to figure out, okay, Google did this update, why they did it, why I didn't satisfy the requirement.
Great. Mikael, do you have anything to add?
How I'm working with big websites, I always start checking the logs using Google Search Console to see if the average response time is high. Normally, we have a direct relation when the average response time is high with a drop in traffic, right? If yes, I need to check with the IT guys, the server. And if you are receiving one attack, or we published some news that explodes all the traffic, etc. But I always start checking Google Search Console. I also check a very common issue, that is soft 404 or 5xx errors, several errors, because it can more be easy to solve and fast for news websites. Essentially, we can't stop. So I always check first the server. The second point is the content, as Sara and Joe said, and check what section dropped. If it was, for example, news, affiliates, or blogs, or marketplace section, that what dropped. I need to check it at second way. The other step is, okay, I know this section was the affiliate section, for example. So let's check the contents that we published before, until 2 months ago. What we did, what we not did, what it's in terms of errors in JavaScript, for example, what we added, what links we worked, etc. I always work in top down, the more broad to as a funnel. Okay, I know that is an affiliate. I check the content, it's okay. I will check the previous releases, what the product team launched 2 weeks ago that can cause a problem. I will check the codes. If, for example, I have duplicated content caused by JavaScript, yes, well, probably this is a big issue. So that's it. I will, from the more easy solutions as a server, for example, to the content side, discussing with all teams to find a solution. But as Sara said, it's very important to check your competitors. It's a common issue at my industry or not. Okay, all websites dropped, or I have only one competitor that not dropped. What they're doing in different way. In news websites, for example, it's very important to have some sections that is commonly underrated, as editors, about us sections that can improve your EEAT, authors page. You need to have a very transparent overview about how you are doing the things. This is very important, and commonly is underrated, because you cannot explain an ROI to create a new page about that. It's hard to explain EAT, for example, for C-levels, product managers, etc.
So if I can add something. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, of course, please.
Yeah, for me, what you are saying, because you are reporting it to the news problem, but I think that is a general common problem. It's very common. It's not just news. It's like the about us page is underrated, the transparency part of who am I contacting, for example, or this kind of thing. I feel that often in the website and I see are underrated. So for me, your point is great and it should be applied all over.
Yes, it's underrated for e-commerce, for example, a contact page. Or who is this guy that I'm selling to me? It's thinking in the user, the customers, right? Not only for search and guides. This is very important.
Yeah, we really need to have the people behind the team, and also a contact form. Please make sure that we have on the page that you say within what time frame you reply to those people. But it's definitely very important, as you mentioned as well, to have this about us page, who everyone is behind it. And if you're writing as well, writing blog posts, writing guides, have those experts there, have a link also to the previous posts that they have done. I also wanted to say, if anyone has any questions to speakers, please drop in the chat. We're only 15 minutes away from the end of the session. And for those that have joined us live, thank you for coming and joining us. If you would like to be on the show as a special guest, please sign up to SEO Office Hours, SEO Office Hours on the Good Signals website. And those that are joining us afterwards that are not live, please do click and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also sign up to SEO Office Hours. We'll share the link in the description so you can also join us live, and you could also be a special guest as well. Over to you, Mike.
Just on that question before, I think where they mentioned about their analytics being cooked, like if there's any budget, I'd get, if you haven't got the time yourself, get a freelancer. We had Kyle McGregor going back sort of a couple of months ago, who specializes in GA4, and maybe get somebody like that to help you with just sorting that out. Because like, obviously from an organic perspective, Search Console is brilliant, but obviously if you ever have any other issues with any other channels, then it's really helpful if you've got something like analytics to give you a full view. And the other thing I was going to say on that is just, although it's horrible if your organic traffic drops, and it can be a moment of panic and could lead to some horrible things in terms of redundancies or whatever, it's also a really good opportunity to look at how you improve your site and your business and evolve things. And even though that's probably quite a hard thing to hear at the moment, because obviously you're going through the stress of losing that traffic, it could end up being a good thing for your site. Usually if I'm involved in a project like this and they've seen a drop for some reason, once start looking into it, you usually find out that these pages haven't been updated for a long time. The design is quite tired, and you've just had some better competitors come in, or not necessarily better competitors, but with better websites. So yeah, sometimes this can be a bit of an opportunity to turn the corner and focus on improving the business. Okay, next question. We're in the hair and beauty scene. Our competitions all over Etsy and Amazon selling knockoffs with our brand and pics and slashing the prices. They are getting traffic for our brands and keywords. Should we start selling there too? Or are we risking messing with our own website and competing with ourselves? Okay, so obviously they've got a website and they've got some competitors who have put similar products but using their brand and so on Amazon and eBay, and now they're ranking for terms that this business ranks for. And the question here is, what should I do? Should we start putting our products on Amazon and Etsy too? Has anybody been in this situation before?
Oh, no, I haven't.
No, okay. No. When I saw this, my first thought was, I wonder if Amazon or Etsy have some sort of policy. If these guys have trademarked brands and they're using their pictures, I wonder if there's some sort of complaints form or something like that on Amazon or Etsy to say, these guys are saying this is our product, but it's not our product. And if there's, I guess it depends if you've trademarked the brand, but I was wondering if anyone has been through anything like that before, where they've, or if anyone on the chat, if you've been through this, where if there's some sort of form or something on them, because it seems like it seems like
wrong.
Something like that.
Yeah, it does seem very wrong. If anyone has had this experience, please write in the chat. Because the thing is, we had this as well, not quite something similar, but back in the day, you weren't allowed to bid on people's brand terms for paid search. So you were not allowed to do that. Now things have changed. So I think in this case, it would be good to know and be able to contact Amazon or Etsy. So Chris has said, actually speak to them and take their address as well. You could then perhaps contact a lawyer. People know Citizens Advice Bureau in the UK. Munyeni is talking about reported, but apparently this copyright infringement is actually very common on the platform. Very sad to see that. So has anyone else had experience like that? I don't know, Sara or Mikael or anyone in the chat. What have you done about it?
Sara,
Go.
please.
No, go.
It depends a lot about your business model. Forgetting SEO a little bit, I suggest to try proof of concepts in these platforms to try to understand if you can distribute better your products at these platforms. I worked in an e-commerce in a similar way, where we used this marketplace to achieve more clients for a long period. We worked both. We worked with the brand at our website, and we used these channel distributions to improve our cash flow. So we receive more money because, of course, they have taxes, but they worked very well with SEO. So we improved our cash flow, we hired more people, and we improved a lot our brand website, publishing ads, working more on social media, so improving other channels, but it depends a lot what you want in terms of business model.
Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so for me, I question myself a lot about the idea of going on those platforms, because on the advantage, I would see you have a bigger distribution probably. But then they're saying then the other one are cutting the price. So what is your goal of exactly going there? Would you decrease the price too when it's not exactly what you want to obtain? So why would you like to go on this platform? For me, there is the problem of the why. Then it's not clear to me in the question. Yes and no. I mean, they're saying, but deeply the real reason, if it is just because the other one are going, like using your brand, no, I would obviously go on a legal pattern on that. And then there is another question, then I question, and that is from an SEO point of view. It's their brand. How strong is their brand? Maybe they should invest. Again, I know that I said before when we were speaking about something else about the brand, but maybe it's because it's my baby topic that I particularly love. But how is their brand? Is their brand an entity? Yes or no? Is a strong entity? Yes or no? It's well understood from search engine? Yes or no? Why search engine are presenting the other brands when the source of trust is them? So for me, there are a lot of open questions on where should they work and what is really their strategy. And going there just to go there, then they have to break their price, for me makes no sense.
Yeah,
That's a very good point.
Oh, sorry, Joe.
No, I just want to say we had some interaction in the chat, so it leads on to what you were saying. What is their strategy? So John was saying I'd separate the problem from the strategic question, and also going back to what we have been saying. If you have a certain brand, you have a certain price, you have these brand values, perhaps you should focus more on your actual website and improve the EAT on that, and then be known for that. Because yes, there have been knockoffs or people making copies of people's brands since for many years, but people will buy your brand if you have got the authority, if it's quality, if you're promoting the quality of your products, if they know where it's coming from. So I wouldn't go onto these other platforms to try and compete and slash your prices. That's not your brand. Back to you, Mike.
See, I was going to say that obviously these communities or these web marketplaces have lots of eyeballs, and that not everybody's going to come via those particular keywords that you're looking at. And so I guess there's like a business question around, could you actually generate more business by being a part of those websites and those marketplaces? I think one of the good things is they also usually have reviews. And if they are knockoff products and they're just not very good, then that should come through on the reviews when people buy them and then they feed back. And people do tend to give more bad reviews than they do good reviews when it comes to reviewing. And so hopefully in the long run, if you do appear on those communities, then just via the reviews alone, if you have got a better product and a stronger brand and they are knockoffs, then you should win. And I guess it's one of those things that if you see that those marketplaces are ranking really well and getting traffic for what you do as a business, then like I said, I think it's a marketing or a business question. Whereas when you ask yourself, do I want to be a part of that or not? I guess the drawback is essentially you're also building up somebody else's website that you don't have control of, and they could be adding that there are obviously going to be other competitors and stuff there, so people could then land on, say, your listing but then end up buying other people. So it is obviously, I get that's a difficult one, but I imagine that this is in the hair and beauty scene or space. I imagine that this is a very competitive place, and if there are opportunities there and there are customers there, you could at least test having some sort of visibility there. I'm guessing you can also do the opposite and take your products off those marketplaces if you don't find they're selling, and I wouldn't feel like you have to slash your prices. Like I said, things like reviews should show that it's better quality. I do think there is, obviously we're not lawyers, so we can't give any legal advice, but it does feel like with the specific question about these people using your photos and your brand, there does feel like there's something there that you should investigate with a lawyer, or at least somebody that understands that stuff more. I'm sure on those websites, they must have some sort of way of reporting this stuff. Yeah, if I was you, that's what I would do. So Chris, I can see you've asked a question, but I don't know if we've got the time, but we could ask that next week. What do you think, Jo?
Yes, let's ask that next week. Sorry, we don't have time for that. I also just wanted to comment back on this final point from John, saying that it makes things a bit easier if you tackle the smaller things. So if you can separate out the knockoffs and the strategic question of whether you should maybe be moving into different or more sales channels, then it's easier for you to solve that issue. Yeah, thank you everyone for your input in the chat. We're just a couple of minutes away, so
it could be like a really good opportunity, right? Like it could be that these knockoff competitors have basically shown you that there's a whole other place that you could get customers from. So there could be a positive ending. We've got 2 minutes left, and I want to do our regular questions. So you've probably got 30 seconds each, if that's all right. But what are you most excited about in terms of SEO at the moment? Sara, what are you most excited about?
Probably I said 10 times at this point, but it's obviously everything related to branding, to making sure then the clients I work with, their brand is an entity and then is well understood, and everything then is related to that.
Great. Mikael, what are you most excited about at the moment?
With the adding of SG to study what will be the next points in the search intent. I believe that we will have a pre-search intent with the answers of SG, where people will discover new ways to search content.
Great. Jo, what about you? What are you most excited about at the moment?
I'm always excited about events. So we had Brighton SEO last week. That was great for
so
some
good.
who attended. And also about Search Barcelona. So it's next week. For those that are in central Barcelona, you can come. It is on May the 10th, and there's a little discount code there in the chat.
Great. Can I say, I think this is the first ever SEO office hours where we haven't said the words, it depends. I think well done to everybody. I think it might be there if I listen back. Oh, John in the chat's just said it.
Well, it's the 23rd office hours today. We got it right eventually.
Hey, great. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a lovely weekend. And we've had a few weeks off over the last month or so, but we're back to normal now. I don't think we've got any time off up until at least August. So hopefully we'll see you each week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to our speakers, attendees, those that asked the questions as well. We hope it's helped.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.